twin girls came knocking and said, "We heard you need help on the ranch. Our papa loves you." The wind whispered across the dry plains, carrying with it the scent of dust, wild grass, and something faintly sweet from the distant groves. On a small, stubbornly standing ranch at the edge of the plains, Alara wiped the sweat from her brow, glancing over her herd of bioengineered animals. They were unusual creatures, some with shimmering coats that changed colors with their moods, others with soft, almost musical hums when they were happy. But no matter how extraordinary, they required care, patience, and constant attention. Alara sighed, her boots crunching on the dry soil. Maintaining this ranch alone on the frontier world had been her dream, but the loneliness often weighed heavier than the labor. Machines helped, of course. Drones that monitored water levels, automated feeders, and weather sensors. But even the most advanced technology couldn't replace human judgment, something Alara knew too well after a recent mix-up almost left half the herd without enough water. She was bent over, checking the hydration levels in the main reservoir, when a soft but insistent sound reached her ears. It wasn't the wind or the usual hum of the drones. No, this was deliberate, rhythmic, a gentle knock on the door of her small wooden cabin. Alara straightened and frowned. Who could it be at this hour? The frontier was sparsely populated. Visitors were rare and most came for trade or trouble, though she hoped for the former, never the latter. She wiped her hands on her worn trousers and opened the door cautiously. Two figures stood there, framed by the dying light of the sun. They were small, identical girls, no older than 10 or 11. Both had bright, curious eyes that reflected the colors of the sky. Their hair was the same shade of gold, tied in neat braids that bounced slightly with the wind. They wore practical clothes, clean but clearly meant for work, and each carried a small backpack slung over one shoulder. "Hello," one of the girls said with a confident, almost musical voice. "We heard you need help on the ranch. Our papa loves you." Alara blinked. She had no idea what to say. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, unsure how to respond to two strangers, children, even claiming to know her and to have a father who loved her. The girls didn't seem nervous at all. They simply smiled and shifted their weight as if confident that the answer was already yes. "Your papa," Alara asked cautiously. "Who sent you? How do you know me?" One of the girls, Lyra, tilted her head thoughtfully. "Papa says that humans should help each other. He said that sometimes when someone works hard alone, they need friends." The other girl, Leora, added with a grin, "And we like ranches, animals, sunsets. We can help." Alara laughed quietly, shaking her head. The frontier was full of strange things, but this was something new. The girls were charming, fearless, and oddly convincing. For a moment she hesitated. Taking strangers in was risky, but what harm could a couple of kids do? She also remembered the recent shortage of hands on the ranch and the near misses with some of the herd. "All right," she said finally. "Come in. But if you break anything, I'll send you straight back to your papa." The girls giggled, exchanged a quick look, and stepped inside. The cabin was small but warm, filled with the smell of herbs, old wood, and the faint tang of machinery. Alara gestured toward a pair of stools by the kitchen table. "Sit. I'll get you some water." Lyra and Leora sat obediently, their eyes wide, taking in every detail. The small stove, the shelves stacked with jars of dried plants, the half-finished schematics of automated feeders pinned to the wall. They seemed fascinated by everything but not intimidated. "You live all alone?" Lyra asked innocently. Alara shrugged. "Mostly. The nearest neighbors are miles away. Sometimes it gets quiet." The girls exchanged a small, knowing smile. "Quiet isn't always bad," Leora said. "But sometimes it's lonely. That's why we're here." Alara couldn't help but feel a warmth in her chest. The frontier could be lonely, yes, but she hadn't expected company like this, especially not company that seemed genuinely eager to help. After a simple meal of bread and dried fruit, the girls insisted on seeing the animals. Ilara led them outside, toward the grazing area where her herd roamed under the vast sky. The sun had dipped lower now, and the plains glowed with a soft, golden light. The girls were careful, gentle, and surprisingly knowledgeable. They approached the creatures slowly, speaking in soft tones, and even the skittishest animals seemed to calm in their presence. Ilara watched, astonished, as the girls began to check the automated feeders, fixing minor glitches that had been causing trouble all week. "How do you know all this?" she asked, curious and more than a little impressed. "Our papa teaches us everything," Leora replied. "He says humans are good at figuring things out. We just need to try." Ilara nodded slowly. There was a truth in that statement she could feel in her bones. Humans were adaptable, resourceful. Even the most advanced machines sometimes lacked the instinct, the intuition that humans carried naturally. And these girls, small as they were, seemed to embody that. As night fell, the ranch transformed into a quiet world of soft lights from drones hovering above, and the gentle murmur of the animals settling in for the night. The twins, still full of energy, insisted on helping with the nightly routines, checking water levels, repairing minor damage to the fences, and ensuring the creatures were comfortable. Ilara leaned against the doorframe, exhausted but amazed. She realized that these children were more than just helpers. They were a spark, a reminder of human ingenuity and warmth, even in the loneliest corners of the galaxy. Finally, as they all settled inside the cabin for the night, Lyra curled up on a small rug by the fire, while Leora sketched plans in a notebook she had taken from her backpack. "Papa said," Leora whispered before drifting off to sleep, "that humans can do amazing things when they work together." Ilara smiled softly, feeling something she hadn't in a long time: hope. Perhaps the frontier didn't have to be lonely. Perhaps with a little help and a lot of human spirit, it could become a place of growth, warmth, and unexpected joy. Outside, the stars blinked into existence one by one. The wind carried the faint hum of the ranch and the distant song of the plains. And somewhere in the vast galaxy, two small humans had arrived to remind one lonely rancher that no challenge was too great when hearts and hands worked together. The next morning promised work, discovery, and a bond that would change the ranch forever. But tonight, as Ilara watched the girls sleep peacefully, she allowed herself to believe in something extraordinary: that humans, small, clever, and kind, were capable of wonders the universe had yet to see. The morning sun crept over the horizon, spilling soft golden light across the ranch. Ilara stood outside her cabin, sipping a cup of steaming tea, watching the twins dart between the animals with effortless grace. Their energy was endless, and even in the early hours, their laughter carried across the plains like music. "Come on, Ilara," Leora called, tugging at her sleeve. "We found a better way to water the herd." Ilara chuckled, shaking her head. "You two never stop, do you?" Lyra held up a small, hand-built gadget with rotating tubes and tiny sensors attached. "We can make the feeders deliver water faster and use less power," she explained proudly. "It's smarter than the old system." Ilara raised an eyebrow. "You built that overnight?" The girls exchanged a quick grin. "Papa says humans can do a lot if they try," Leora said simply. Ilara felt a pang of admiration. These children, strangers to her a day ago, had already started reshaping her ranch in ways she had struggled with for years. Their ideas were not just clever, they were practical, efficient, and full of human intuition. The twins set to work immediately. They scuttled from one feeder to another, adjusting valves, calibrating sensors, and even marking sections for grazing rotation. The automated drones hovered above, monitoring the herd, but it was clear that human hands, quick, precise, and inventive, were making the real difference. Ilara followed them, feeling like she was witnessing something extraordinary. Not only were the girls skilled, but they also seemed to understand the animals instinctively. A skittish grazer would calm under their soft voice. A curious young creature would play gently under their watchful eyes. Even the drones, though technically advanced, could not predict the herd's moods the way the girls did. By midday, the ranch was humming with a new energy. The feeders worked flawlessly, water flowed evenly to every pen, and the animals moved with ease and contentment. Alara paused to rest under the shade of a tree, wiping her forehead, and watched the twins from a distance. "They're remarkable," she murmured to herself. "I've never seen anything like this." Lyra noticed her gaze and waved cheerfully. "We're just humans," she said, as if the idea of being special never occurred to her. "Papa says humans are built to solve problems." Alara laughed softly. "Well, you're doing a very good job at it." As the afternoon sun climbed higher, a small group of nearby settlers rode over in their hover vehicles. They had heard rumors about the ranch, how the herd was thriving, how fences and feeders were suddenly more efficient, and how the animals seemed unusually content. Curiosity and perhaps a bit of skepticism brought them to see for themselves. One of the settlers, a tall, thin alien with emerald skin and six-jointed fingers, looked at the twins and raised an eyebrow. "Are these humans?" he asked. Leora nodded politely. "Yes, sir. Humans can do a lot of things." The alien tilted his head, clearly uncertain. He had seen humans before, but their reputation across the frontier was a mixture of admiration and mild suspicion. Humans were rare in these parts, and stories about their creativity and courage were often exaggerated. Yet here they were, small children transforming a ranch with nothing but tools, intuition, and effort. Alara stepped forward. "They've been helping me for less than a day, and already the herd is calmer, the feeders are fixed, and the water system is efficient. It's remarkable." The settlers exchanged glances, impressed despite themselves. It was one thing to hear about human ingenuity. It was another to witness it firsthand. By the evening, the ranch was running like a well-oiled machine. The twins had mapped out the grazing schedules, repaired small structural issues, and even suggested ways to improve the automated drone patrols. Alara marveled at how quickly they adapted to the environment, spotting problems she had grown accustomed to ignoring. That night, as the three of them sat around the fire pit, roasting small portions of local tubers, Alara asked, "How do you know all this? You're children, and yet you seem to understand the ranch better than I ever did." Lyra shrugged. "Papa says humans are good at noticing patterns. We see things that machines can't. We notice the animals' moods, the wind, the ground, everything." Leora added, "Papa also says humans can imagine solutions that others wouldn't think of. We just need to pay attention." Alara smiled, thinking of the truth in their words. On this frontier, she had often relied on technology, but she realized now that her instincts had been dulled by the machines. These children reminded her that humans had a natural advantage: intuition, creativity, and the ability to adapt to the unexpected. Over the next few days, the twins' influence became even more apparent. They discovered a shallow stream that had gone unnoticed for months, dug small irrigation channels, and helped the herd reach new grazing areas. They even taught Alara new ways to repair broken fences using minimal resources, demonstrating methods that combined simple engineering with practical ingenuity. The ranch began to flourish like never before. Crops grew stronger, water usage became more efficient, and the animals were calmer, healthier, and more productive. Even the drones seemed to operate more effectively, as if guided by human judgment. The neighboring settlers couldn't help but notice. One afternoon, a group of aliens arrived, observing quietly as the twins worked. They whispered to each other, amazed at how humans could do things that their advanced technology could not. "It's incredible," one of them said. "Children, and yet they understand everything better than our machines." Lyra looked up from fixing a gate hinge and smiled. "Papa says humans are special. He says that's why they can help the galaxy." Alara watched them, pride swelling in her chest. She realized she had underestimated humans, and now she understood what her new companions meant by being special. It wasn't strength or weapons. It was adaptability, intelligence, and empathy combined. One evening, after another long day of work, Alara asked the twins to sit with her on the porch. The sky was a canvas of pink and violet, and a soft wind rustled the grass. "You know," she said slowly, "I've lived here for years, and I've seen settlers come and go. Some were smart, some strong, some clever, but I've never seen anyone like you two. You notice everything, think of everything, and somehow make everything work. You remind me that humans are different." The twins exchanged shy smiles, their faces glowing in the fading light. "Papa says humans can do amazing things when they work together," Leora said softly. "Yes," Alara agreed, feeling a sense of awe and gratitude. "I can see that now. I think with your help, this ranch can become something more than I ever imagined." And so, day by day, the twins continued to transform the ranch. They were everywhere at once, feeding the animals, fixing equipment, and observing the land with careful eyes. Their energy was endless and their ideas flowed freely. They built simple contraptions to help herd the animals, designed clever water channels, and even created small toys to entertain the creatures during the long afternoons. The ranch had never felt so alive. Animals moved with confidence, crops flourished, and the land itself seemed to respond to the twins' careful attention. Alara marveled at the change, realizing that it was not just their skills but the human spirit behind them that made the difference. One day, while adjusting the automated feeders, Lyra paused and looked at Alara seriously. "Do you know why humans are special?" she asked. Alara thought for a moment. "Because you can think, create, adapt." Lyra shook her head, smiling. "It's because we care. We notice things, we try to help, we don't give up. Papa says the galaxy has never seen humans like this before." Alara felt a lump in her throat. She had always believed in hard work and perseverance, but now she understood something deeper. Humans could see possibilities where others saw limits. They could solve problems with creativity, kindness, and courage. By the time the sun set again, the ranch was transformed beyond recognition. The once struggling operation now ran smoothly, a testament to human ingenuity, energy, and empathy. The neighboring settlers whispered tales of the human twins, spreading stories of their abilities and the remarkable changes they had wrought. Alara looked out over the plains, the wind in her hair, and smiled. The frontier, once lonely and harsh, now seemed full of promise. With these two children, and perhaps all of humanity, she realized that anything was possible. And somewhere in the quiet of the night, the twins slept peacefully, dreaming of new ways to help, new ideas to try, and new wonders to discover. The ranch had found its rhythm, and humans had shown, once again, why they were a force unlike any other in the galaxy. The morning began quietly, with a soft golden light spilling over the ranch. Alara stepped outside, taking a deep breath of the crisp air. The fields looked calm, the herd content and the machinery humming in rhythm. For once, she felt a sense of peace. The twins, Leora and Lyra, were already at work, checking fences and monitoring the water system with careful attention. But as the sun climbed higher, a distant shadow appeared on the horizon, a rolling cloud of dust growing larger by the minute. Alara squinted. The dust storm was moving faster than any sensor had predicted. Her heart sank. "Storm," she muttered under her breath. "And it's coming too fast." Lyra noticed the dark cloud first. "Alara," she called, her voice calm but firm, "that's not a normal wind, it's coming straight at us." The twins exchanged a quick glance, their expressions serious. Despite their age, there was a clarity in their eyes that made Alara pause. Humans might be small, she thought, but their instincts were sharp, sometimes sharper than any machine. Alara grabbed her communicator. "Ranchers, be ready, dust storm incoming," she shouted. The few nearby settlers who were out in the fields turned their hover vehicles toward their homes, calling warnings to others. The storm was immense, swirling and roaring across the plains. The drones struggled to maintain stability, their sensors blinded by the dense dust. Machines beeped warnings, fences shook, and the animals grew restless. The herd, normally calm and predictable, began to scatter in panic. Ilara felt her chest tighten. She had survived storms before, but this one was different. Faster, stronger, unpredictable. The twins sprang into action. Leora ran toward the nearest pens, her small hands guiding frightened animals into sheltered areas. Lyra climbed onto a low ridge, scanning the herd and adjusting the automated water channels to prevent flooding from the sudden wind-driven rain. Ilara followed, trying to stay calm. "Everyone, stay close, keep the animals calm," she shouted, but her voice was nearly lost in the roar of the storm. The twins moved with confidence, coordinating the herd as if they had rehearsed this many times before. Leora knelt beside a young creature, murmuring softly while patting its back, and it stopped thrashing. Lyra guided a group of grazing animals into a sheltered area she had improvised using tarps, ropes, and small energy shields. Ilara watched in awe. Machines could alert her to danger, drones could monitor conditions, but humans, especially these two, had an instinct that no algorithm could match. They noticed every detail, responded to every shift in the storm, and acted with precision and care. The wind grew stronger, howling like a living creature. Dust whipped across the fields and visibility dropped to almost nothing. Yet the twins worked tirelessly, never panicking, never hesitating. They used their small size to move quickly, slipping through gaps in the fencing and weaving around equipment with agility that amazed Ilara. One section of the fence gave way under the pressure of the wind. A group of animals tried to escape into the open plains. Ilara ran toward them, but the twins were already there. Leora had placed temporary barriers, redirecting the herd safely back into the pens, while Lyra adjusted a hovering drone to reinforce the structure. By late afternoon, the storm's full force was upon them. The ranch shook under the wind, and dust stung their eyes, but the twins remained calm. Ilara realized that their courage wasn't just about bravery. It was about focus, observation, and quick problem-solving. Humans, she thought, had a way of acting in the moment that no machine could replicate. Lyra," she called over the wind. "How do you stay so calm?" Leora smiled, though her hair was whipped around by the storm. "We focus on what we can do," she shouted. "The rest, we leave to the wind," Lyra nodded. "Papa says humans don't freeze, we adapt, we act." Ilara felt a surge of admiration. She had seen settlers panic during storms, losing control and letting machines take over. But these small humans were the opposite. They amplified her own abilities, guiding the ranch with confidence, clarity, and care. Hours passed, and the storm showed no sign of slowing. Ilara's muscles ached, and her throat was dry from shouting, but she couldn't stop watching the twins. They were everywhere, solving problems before she even noticed them. Adjusting the feeders so the animals didn't go thirsty, moving small equipment to prevent damage, and keeping the youngest creatures calm. At one point, a young foal slipped in the mud near the edge of the shelter. Lyra dashed forward without hesitation, catching it just in time and guiding it back to safety. Leora quickly checked nearby fences, ensuring no other animals could escape. By evening, the storm's intensity began to decrease slightly. Dust swirled less violently, and the drones regained some stability. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the ranch. The herd was mostly safe, the fences held, and the water system was still functional. Ilara sank to the ground, exhausted but amazed. "I don't know how you did it," she said softly, looking at the twins. "I've faced storms before, but never like this." Leora sat beside her, brushing dust from her hair. "Papa says humans notice patterns even in chaos. We can see what needs to be done and act fast. We don't wait for machines." Lyra added, "And we care. We want the animals safe. That helps us think clearly." Alara nodded, understanding for the first time why humans were considered extraordinary in the galaxy. Machines could calculate, sensors could predict, but humans could combine observation, intuition, and empathy in ways that technology never could. The neighboring settlers arrived after the storm, their hover vehicles carrying minor damage and scattered supplies. They looked at the ranch in disbelief. Not only had it survived the storm, but the herd was calm, fences intact, and water channels functioning. One of the settlers, an elder alien with silver skin, approached Alara cautiously. This is remarkable," he said. "I've never seen anything like it. Even our most advanced machines would have failed." Alara smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride and gratitude. "It wasn't just me," she said, gesturing to the twins. "These two small humans, they saved the ranch. They have a gift. They notice, they adapt, they care. Nothing else could have done this." The settlers whispered among themselves, clearly impressed. They had heard of human ingenuity before, but this was tangible, undeniable proof. Humans, even children, had a unique edge that no technology or advanced species could replicate. That night, after the storm had passed completely, the ranch was quiet again. The twins helped repair minor damage, guided the animals back to comfort, and even reassured the restless creatures. Then, finally, they joined Alara inside the cabin. The fire crackled softly in the hearth, and the smell of hot tubers filled the room. The twins sat close together, tired but smiling. "Do you know," Alara said softly, "I've faced storms, droughts, and equipment failures, but today I learned something new. Humans, your kind, are incredible." Lyra yawned, stretching her small arms. "Papa says humans are strong in ways the galaxy doesn't always understand, not just in muscles but in mind and heart." Leora nodded. "And when we work together, we can do amazing things." Alara felt a lump in her throat. She realized the truth in their words. It wasn't just their cleverness, their energy, or their instincts. It was their human spirit. The ability to observe, care, adapt, and act with empathy made them extraordinary. Outside, the stars blinked through the clear sky, and a gentle breeze rustled the grass. The ranch, battered by the storm but still standing, seemed to hum with life. Alara leaned back, watching the twins as they drifted off to sleep near the fire. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, inevitable on the frontier, but tonight she allowed herself to rest. The storm had tested them, revealed the weaknesses of the land, and yet, thanks to the twins, the ranch had survived. More than survived, it had thrived. Alara realized that no matter what the frontier threw at them, humans had a way of rising above, solving problems and turning chaos into order. It was a quiet, unassuming power, but it was formidable. And now, with these two small humans by her side, she knew the ranch could face anything. As she closed her eyes, she whispered to the stars, "Perhaps the galaxy is ready to see what humans can do." The morning air was crisp and cool on planet Violia, carrying the faint smell of damp earth after the recent dust storm. Alara stepped outside, taking a deep breath. The ranch, though battered by the storm, looked stronger than ever. The repairs made by the twins and her own hands had transformed the property. Water channels flowed efficiently, fences were sturdy, and the herd moved calmly across the fields, grazing contentedly. Leora and Lyra were already at work. Leora was checking the feed distribution system, her small hands moving quickly but carefully, while Lyra guided a young foal through a new practice exercise she had designed to keep the herd calm during sudden storms. Alara watched them with a mixture of pride and awe. She had seen humans, resourcefulness before, but these children seemed to embody it fully, combining ingenuity, instinct, and empathy in ways that no machine or alien technology could replicate. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of hover engines in the distance. A sleek vehicle, unlike the usual frontier transport, descended toward the ranch. Its polished surface reflected the sunlight, and a small landing platform extended smoothly. Alara's heart skipped a beat. Visitors were rare, and she wasn't expecting anyone important. The vehicle's door opened, and a tall figure stepped out. A human man, tall and broad-shouldered, with a gentle yet confident demeanor. He wore practical clothes suited for frontier life, and his eyes sparkled with warmth and intelligence. Leora and Lyra ran to him, shouting in excitement. "Papa!" they cried in unison, leaping into his arms. The man laughed, holding them carefully. "There's my brilliant girls." "Papa's heard so much about your hard work," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. Then, turning to Alara, he extended his hand. "And you must be Alara. I've heard a lot about you as well. Thank you for taking care of my daughters." Alara shook his hand, feeling a mixture of respect and curiosity. "I should be the one thanking you. Your daughters, they've saved this ranch. I don't know what I would have done without them during the storm." The man smiled warmly. "Papa always says humans have a way of noticing, adapting, and caring. Leora and Lyra have learned well, but I wanted to see it for myself, and to see the ranch they've helped transform." Over the next few hours, the father toured the property. The twins eagerly explained their innovations: new feeder designs, water distribution improvements, and techniques for calming the animals. Alara watched him carefully, noticing how impressed he was, not just with their technical skills, but with their understanding of animal behavior, problem-solving, and the subtle ways they improved daily life on the ranch. "This is remarkable," he said finally, turning to Alara. "Humans are designed to adapt, to invent, and to work together. These qualities aren't just helpful, they're extraordinary in a universe that often relies on machines and rigid systems. You've witnessed it firsthand." Alara nodded. "I have. I knew humans were clever, but I didn't realize how deeply our instincts, empathy, and creativity could make a difference. Your daughters, they've changed this ranch, and maybe even how I see my own potential." The twins beamed, clearly proud to have earned recognition from their father. "Papa says humans can solve problems even when no one else can," Lyra said softly. "Yes," he replied, "and humans can do more than solve problems. They inspire others to try, to think, and to care. That's why I wanted to meet you, Ilara. I think there's a chance for us to collaborate, to combine human intuition with frontier technology, and show the galaxy what humans are capable of." Ilara felt a thrill of excitement. She had spent years struggling to make the ranch work alone, relying heavily on machines and her own effort. The idea of collaboration, with humans who embodied ingenuity, empathy, and resourcefulness, was beyond anything she had imagined. "Collaboration?" she asked. "How would that work?" The man smiled. "Humans can teach techniques that technology cannot replicate, understanding animal behavior, improvising solutions, adapting to unexpected challenges, and working with others in ways machines cannot. You've already seen the value in your own experience. Now imagine spreading that knowledge across frontier colonies, helping others thrive, not just survive." Alara's mind raced. The possibilities were incredible. Water systems, livestock management, energy distribution. Her small ranch could become a model for other settlers, demonstrating how humans' unique abilities could enhance technology and improve life on the frontier. The twins eagerly jumped in to demonstrate more of their ideas. Leora showed a small contraption she had built to measure soil moisture with minimal energy, while Lyra explained her system for organizing the herd during sudden weather changes. The father nodded approvingly. "Your daughters are exceptional," he said. "But it's not just them, it's the human way of thinking. Resourcefulness, empathy, observation, and the ability to innovate even under pressure. That's what sets humans apart." Alara nodded, realizing he was right. She had witnessed it firsthand. During the storm, the twins had coordinated the herd, repaired fences, and adjusted water channels faster and more effectively than any machine could have done. Humans didn't just react, they anticipated, adapted, and solved problems creatively. You know, the father continued, the galaxy often underestimates humans. We're not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most technologically advanced, but our strength lies in our adaptability, intelligence, and cooperation. That's why your ranch survived the storm when others might not have. Alara felt a deep sense of gratitude. She had always relied on her own skills and machines, but now she understood a larger truth. Humans could amplify potential in ways the frontier had never seen. And she had the twins as living proof. Over the next few days, the father worked alongside Alara and the twins. He shared ideas for improving energy efficiency, animal care, and resource management, combining his knowledge with the twins' creativity and Alara's experience. Together, they built small devices, improved irrigation, and designed training methods for the herd that made them calmer, healthier, and more productive. News of the human visitors spread quickly. Settlers from neighboring colonies arrived to observe the twins and their father. They were fascinated by the small humans' ingenuity and ability to solve complex problems. Many had relied solely on advanced machines for years, but the twins demonstrated a power that machines could not match: instinct, creativity, and empathy. One elder from a nearby colony approached Alara cautiously. "I've heard of human ingenuity," he said, "but seeing it in action, it's extraordinary. Your ranch survived the storm and now it thrives. Your humans, they are truly remarkable." Alara smiled, nodding toward the twins. "It's not just their skills, it's their way of thinking. Humans observe, care, and adapt. They solve problems that machines cannot, and they inspire others to do the same." The father added, "This is the future. Humans teaching other settlers, sharing knowledge, and showing that even small colonies can thrive with creativity, teamwork, and empathy. The galaxy is starting to see what humans can do." That evening, as the sun set over the plains, the ranch glowed with warmth. Lights from the cabin, the automated feeders, and the repaired fences shimmered under the golden sky. The herd grazed peacefully, and the wind carried the soft hum of life across the property. Alara sat on the porch with the twins and their father, sipping warm tea and reflecting on the past weeks. The ranch had faced storms, challenges, and uncertainty, but humans had made the difference. "You've changed everything here," she said softly. "Not just the ranch, but my perspective. I see now that humans are capable of more than I ever imagined." The father smiled. "And the galaxy will see it too. Leora and Lyra are just the beginning. Humans have a way of turning challenges into opportunities, of inspiring others, and of improving life wherever they go." The twins leaned against Alara, tired but happy. "Papa says humans are special," Lyra said quietly. "And now you know it too." Alara nodded, a sense of peace and hope filling her heart. She realized that this ranch, once struggling and isolated, had become a symbol, a place where human ingenuity, care, and adaptability had shown their power. And somewhere in the stars above, Alara felt certain that humans were destined to leave their mark on the galaxy. Not through force or domination, but through creativity, empathy, and the ability to solve problems where others could not. The twins' father stood, looking out over the plains. "Tomorrow," he said, "we will begin planning for the other settlements. This ranch will be a model for the frontier, showing that humans' way of thinking, adaptable, caring, inventive, can guide others. The galaxy is ready to learn from humans." Alara watched the sunset, the wind brushing her face, and smiled. The frontier no longer felt lonely. With humans by her side, she understood that anything was possible. Challenges could be overcome, communities could thrive, and even the harshest planets could become places of life, growth, and hope. The stars blinked into existence, reflecting the quiet determination and endless potential of humanity. And at the center of it all, on a small ranch on planet Vierlia, Ilara, Leora, Lyra, and their father looked toward the future, ready to show the galaxy the extraordinary power of human spirit. The morning sun rose slowly over planet Vierlia, casting long shadows across the plains and lighting the ranch in warm, golden hues. Birds and small creatures chirped and scuttled through the fields, and the herd moved calmly, grazing as though the storm and chaos of the past weeks had never existed. Ilara stepped onto the porch, taking in the view. The ranch was alive with movement, humming with efficiency and vitality. The improvements made by the twins and their father were visible everywhere. Sturdy fences, flowing water channels, neat fields, and carefully organized feeding systems. The ranch, once struggling to survive, now ran with remarkable order and ease. Leora and Lyra were already at work, laughing and chattering as they guided animals, adjusted feeders, and sketched ideas for new improvements. Their energy seemed endless, and their creativity was boundless. Ilara had often marveled at them, but now she could see that their influence had gone far beyond the ranch itself. The twins' father, standing nearby with a clipboard and gentle smile, was coordinating plans with settlers from neighboring colonies. Small groups of humans and aliens alike had begun to visit, learning techniques and observing how the ranch operated. It was a hub of collaboration, a living example of what humans could accomplish when curiosity, intelligence, and empathy worked together. "Come on, Ilara," Leora called, waving from the field. "We've got a new idea for keeping the younger animals calm during storms." Ilara laughed, feeling a warm glow of pride and excitement. "Lead the way," she said. As they walked together, Lyra explained the plan in detail. She had devised a simple device, using soft lights, calming sounds, and gentle movements to reassure the animals during sudden changes in weather. Leora added that she wanted to integrate this with the automated feeders, creating a system that would adapt automatically if the wind picked up or the herd became restless. "It's brilliant," Ilara said. "You're thinking of the animals, the machines, and the environment all at once. How do you even do that?" Lyra shrugged with a modest smile. "Papa says humans notice everything. We see problems and imagine solutions. Then we try until it works." Ilara felt a lump in her throat. These children, so small and seemingly ordinary, had achieved extraordinary things. They had taken a ranch at the edge of the galaxy, battered by storms and isolation, and turned it into a thriving, efficient, and harmonious place. The twins' father approached, nodding approvingly. "You've done more than I imagined, Ilara. The ranch is a model now, not just for this planet, but for what humans can teach across the frontier. Settlers are already asking to visit and learn from you." Ilara smiled. "I never thought humans could be so inspiring. They don't just fix problems, they change how we think about possibilities." The father nodded. "That is the essence of humanity: intelligence, creativity, empathy, and adaptability. Combine those qualities and even the hardest challenges can be overcome." Later in the morning, a small shuttle arrived from a neighboring colony. Its passengers, a mix of humans and aliens, stepped onto the ranch with wide eyes, eager to see the improvements for themselves. Ilara and the twins guided them, showing the water systems, the feeding methods, and the animal care techniques. One young alien, curious and hesitant, asked, "How do the humans know what to do? Machines are supposed to help, but they seem to do more than that." Lyra knelt beside the alien, speaking softly. "Humans notice things that machines can't. We watch, we listen, we think, and we care. That's how we know." Leora added, "We also try ideas. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but we never stop learning." The visitors looked on in wonder. They had advanced technology, but humans had a way of understanding, adapting, and improving that no machine could replicate. They began asking questions, jotting down notes, and trying small experiments themselves under the twins' guidance. By midday, the ranch was buzzing with activity. The twins moved gracefully among the visitors, explaining techniques, answering questions, and demonstrating simple but ingenious solutions. Alara noticed that even the settlers who had been skeptical at first were now filled with excitement. They were learning not just methods but a philosophy: observe, adapt, innovate, and care. The twins' father spoke to Alara privately for a moment. "This is bigger than the ranch," he said softly. "Humans have a way of inspiring others to think differently. They don't just solve problems, they encourage everyone to imagine new possibilities. You're witnessing the start of something important." Alara nodded, understanding the depth of his words. She had begun with a simple hope: to maintain her ranch and survive the challenges of frontier life. But now, with the twins and their father, her vision had expanded. Humans could guide settlements, teach others to thrive, and leave a lasting impact across worlds. The afternoon passed in a whirlwind of activity. Repairs, demonstrations, and workshops continued, and the twins never seemed to tire. Leora led a small group in mapping grazing patterns for the herd, showing how careful observation could maximize efficiency and animal health. Lyra helped another group experiment with the new calming devices, ensuring that every creature, young or old, would remain safe during sudden changes in weather. Alara paused for a moment, watching them. She thought back to the first day the twins had arrived. Two small, bright-eyed girls knocking on her door, claiming to help. She smiled at how far they had come and how much they had changed her life, her ranch, and perhaps even the future of frontier settlement. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in vibrant shades of orange and purple, the ranch glowed warmly under the soft lights. The herd moved peacefully, the water flowed smoothly, and the settlers had started to leave, filled with new ideas and hope for their own colonies. Alara, the twins, and their father gathered on the porch to watch the evening. The twins leaned against her, tired but satisfied. "Papa says humans are special," Lyra whispered. "Yes," Alara said softly, feeling the truth of it. "And now I see it too," the father smiled. "This is only the beginning. Humans can teach, inspire, and transform. And with your guidance, Alara, the frontier will flourish like never before." Night fell, and the stars sparkled across the sky, reflecting in the calm waters of the ranch's irrigation channels. The wind carried a quiet hum, the sound of animals resting, machines functioning efficiently, and humans dreaming of new possibilities. Alara stood, taking a deep breath of the cool night air. The ranch, once a struggling outpost on a lonely planet, now represented hope, innovation, and the power of human spirit. "We've come a long way," she said softly, looking at the twins. "And tomorrow we'll go even further." The twins smiled, their eyes reflecting the starlight. "Papa says humans can do amazing things," Leora said. "And now we can show others how." Lyra nodded. "The frontier is full of challenges, but humans will find a way." Alara felt a surge of pride and hope. She realized that humans didn't need to be the strongest or the fastest. Their strength lay in their intelligence, adaptability, empathy, and creativity. These qualities had transformed her ranch, saved her herd, and inspired settlers across the frontier. She looked out over the fields, where the animals moved calmly under the soft glow of lanterns and automated lights. The ranch had become more than a home. It was a beacon, a model, a promise that life could thrive even in the harshest conditions. The twins' father placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You've helped make this happen," he said. "But the humans, these two and the countless others across the stars, will continue to change the galaxy. The frontier is ready for them." Alara nodded. She understood now. Humans had a power unlike any other: the ability to observe, imagine, adapt, and care. And when they worked together, no challenge was too great. The twins yawned and curled up on the porch near Alara, their small bodies radiating warmth and quiet strength. Their father watched with pride, and Alara felt a sense of peace she had never known. The ranch, the frontier, and even the stars above seemed full of possibility. As she looked up at the night sky, Alara whispered to herself, perhaps humans were meant to leave their mark on the galaxy, not through force, but through creativity, kindness, and ingenuity. The stars twinkled in response, silent witnesses to the quiet power of humanity. And on the small ranch of planet Vierlia, two small humans had shown that the impossible could become possible, that the lonely frontier could flourish, and that the galaxy was ready to see what humans could truly do. Alara smiled, feeling the warmth of hope, friendship, and endless possibilities. The future was bright, and she knew that humans, small, clever, and kind, would continue to inspire, create, and build a better galaxy for everyone. As the night deepened, the ranch lay peaceful, the herd resting, the lights glowing softly, and the twins dreaming of new ideas and adventures. The frontier, once harsh and lonely, had become a place of life, growth, and wonder. And somewhere across the galaxy, humans everywhere would continue to rise, adapt, and shine, proof that even the smallest hearts could create extraordinary change.